Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Awesome Sauce EDU podcast, where I am shining a spotlight on awesome things happening in the classroom. Now, as I mentioned on last week's episode, my goal is to get more consistency with these podcast episodes. I have been really good about recording episodes. I was on a roll and then I just stopped. And then I tried to start the podcast up again and I got 1 or 2 episodes in and then I stopped again. So I want to build up this momentum and have some consistency and bring you some great content. And so as I do that, I'm going to continue to release episodes and push myself to build up this habit. Like I said last time, it takes 21 days, I believe, or 21 opportunities to make something into a habit. And so I'm going to continue to work on this habit. And hopefully, as I go through the process, it's actually great for me as well because it's having me reflect on what I do in the classroom and why I do the things I do in the classroom. Now, a little insight into this habit building process. I recorded that episode last week. I actually recorded it 2 weeks ago. But the thing about building a habit is you have to eliminate every single barrier. And one barrier I found, I recorded the episode, and then I realized I didn't have the editing software I was comfortable with, the one I had used the most. I use Camtasia. It's more for video editing, but for some reason, it just clicks the best with me. It's the one that I use for my audio editing. And I couldn't download it, and I couldn't find it. And so I was like, okay, I'll find something else. I'll do some editing. Next day, you know what? I'll figure something out. Well, I finally took the time. I sat down. I eliminated that barrier so that now I've got a system and a routine in place that will help me and allow me to record these regularly. The same is true for other habits I'm working on at home. So I've got one habit. It's going to sound silly, but my garage is kind of a mess. But I know that I can't devote a lot of time to that. Or if I do, it won't get done. I get too overwhelmed. And so what I've challenged myself to do is spend 5 minutes every day organizing some area of my garage. And I was doing really good at that. I did it for about 7 days in a row, and I was developing the habit. Then I went out of town for the MACE conference. And just that 3-day disruption caused me to lose the momentum, and then I stopped doing it. I've started back up the habit again today, but I'm starting over. I'm on day 2 right now of the 5-minute cleaning of my garage. Okay? So again, when you're working with students, you have to remind yourself that it takes time, it takes repetition, it takes constant work and reminders to build up these habits with students. It doesn't happen overnight. So if a student is struggling with bringing their book to class, I know it's easy to get frustrated because they're not doing what you've asked them to do. You want them to remember, you want them to have the habit of doing that. It takes time to make that into a habit. Now, it doesn't mean you can't remind them over and over and over, but just keep that in the back of your mind. I'm going to need to prompt them maybe before they walk into the room. Hey, don't forget you need that book today, before it's going to become a habit that they constantly do. And you'll still have those handful of kids who conveniently forget their book in their locker because they're trying to avoid reading. And that's a whole other issue to address. All right, now let's dive into the content of this week's episode. I just wanted to take a moment to share something cool that I've been working on with my comm media class. The communication media class, it used to be the newspaper class. Now it's become more of a conglomeration of a lot of different styles of communication. So we work on blogging, we work on podcasting, we work on creating portfolios, so they will all walk out of my class with a portfolio of all the work they've created. They create social media posts. And one of my favorite activities we've done so far is I'm trying to have them work on real world application projects that will actually help them in the real world. So for example, they do a video news broadcast. Okay. So I've got about 6 kids in a group working on a video news project every 2 weeks. And that's great. That is something that I've seen done quite a bit before. And it's a great project for the kids to work on. It teaches them how to do some video editing, how to ask good questions, how to put stories together, that sort of thing. But the one thing that I've done different this year, and I've added to this, is I just added an advertising module to my class. Okay, so the advertising module involves learning how to create social media posts and a video post about a topic. And the topic they are working on is, I work with a group called Melissa's Second Chances, which is a local animal shelter. And they foster out a lot of animals. They work on pet adoptions. And the way I partner with them is I actually foster guinea pigs and bunnies in my classroom. So we just recently had a bunny, lion-headed bunny named Macbeth that just recently got adopted. I've had guinea pigs. I'm about to get another bunny on Tuesday, and they stay in my classroom for about a month, and then they get adopted out, and then I get a new pet. It's a good project for me and my students because they get a new pet, and it's also great because then we get to help them find a good home. But what I've done with this project is my students go to the Melissa Second Chances website, and they pick an animal that they want to promote. And so they create a poster that we then share out on Twitter and Instagram. They also create a video, like a hype video for the animal. Like, why should people adopt this animal? And it's so great to watch the kids do something that is actually going to impact an animal. And when you involve animals in this project, or a project like this, kids love it. They love animals, and so now they get the opportunity to help out. And so it's been great. A lot of the animals have gotten adopted. And so we're going to continue this. My goal is someday down the road, I would love it if I could actually have some of those animals come into the classroom, and then we could take some pictures with them, and we could film videos live. Right now, they take videos or pictures from the website, and they put them together into like a montage about why people should adopt that animal, and then a link to the website. But it would be awesome if we could actually get some live interaction and engagement in that. So that's what we're working on right now. That is just a cool idea. I thought I would love to hear from you. How do you bring in real world application to your students? What do you do to help bring to life the things you're teaching? That's my biggest focus right now, is how can I make what we do apply to real life, and not just in a theoretical way, not just if I was going to have a pizza party, how many slices of pizza would I need? Actually having the items there, or doing something that actually goes out into the real world. So that's just one way I've taken a dive into it. If you've got a way, share it out on Twitter. Tag me in it. You can find me on Twitter at TeachLikeANinja. And I would love to hear how you are doing that, how you are engaging kids in real world application projects. So that's a little bit about my communication media class. If you want to follow them, you can find them on Twitter at SFT Student News. And you can follow them and see. That's where we post their social media posts and things like that. So they would love it if you would give them a follow. Follow them on YouTube, and you can help support them. Let them know that they've got a real, authentic audience that they're sharing with. All right, to wrap up this week's episode, we're going to have a little bit of a mental health minute. This is how I'd like to wrap up every episode for the next few weeks, just because I think it's always great for a great reminder. And the first thing I wanted to share this week is it's okay to be yourself. This is one of the affirmations that I work on my own children with. I work on it with myself, but it's okay to be yourself. Sometimes I get caught up in when I'm working with my students and trying to get caught up in what they're interested in, which I do, and it's good to know what kids are interested in. But I also like to bring in a lot of my own interests into the classroom. They want to get to know me as a person. They want to see that I am human, that I've got interests. And it's interesting and it's kind of fun when I will, for example, outside of my classroom door, I play music. And a lot of times I will alternate. So some days I will play music that I know they'll be into. And then I'll introduce some stuff that I was into when I was their age. And so I'll play something and they'll go, oh, I think I've heard that before. And they get a kick out of it. Sometimes they joke around about it, but it's just a great bonding experience. So it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be you. It's okay to be an authentic you, and share that with the students. They enjoy it, and you'll enjoy it too, because you don't have to try to continue to be something that you're not. So that's just my little tip for the day, my mindful minute, my mental health minute. And yeah, so that's all I've got for this week's episode. Again, I'm hoping to have some guests on in the future. If you would like to be on the podcast, you can always message me at Teach Like a Ninja. I would love to share what great things are happening in your own classroom. For now, I'll just continue sharing some things in my classroom. And hopefully I can reach out to some people and get some great guests on the podcast. But for now, that's it. You can follow me on Twitter at Teach Like a Ninja. You can email me, teachlikeaninja@gmail.com. You can follow me on YouTube, Instagram. I'm on TikTok, but I'm not very good at posting TikToks. So you can find me on there as well. But that is all I've got for this week's episode. Until next time, book it forward and be awesome. Bye, everyone.